So this video is really about the 10 reasons why you need proper dog training programs rather than just packages or charging by the hour or by the session or by the day or by the week or however you might be currently packaging your dog training programs. So first, let me tell you, if you don't know this concept already, I want to explain the difference between a program, an actual correct dog training program, and a package, which is what's more common. So especially if you're new or even if you're not, you might just have packages of lessons or weeks or whatever, depending on what you offer for your dog training programs. And you might think that those are programs, but they're really just packages of time. It's just a collection of hours or a collection of weeks, and that's what you're selling. You're selling your time. Somebody can buy one lesson or they could buy a package of 4 and it's slightly discounted. Or if they buy 8, it's slightly more discounted. And then people will tend to just buy what they think they need, or they'll ask you, how many lessons do I need? And they'll buy that. Same thing for weeks, same thing for days of day training, whatever it is that you offer. If you just have collections of time, those are packages. Totally different from a program. If you're charging by the hour, that's even worse. This much per hour, and they take as many hours as they want, or as many hours as they need until their goals are quote unquote reached, or until they give up, or whatever the case is. So here are the top 10. Number 1, you make more money per client. Everything is easier if you're making more money per client. Everything is more fun. Everything is more peaceful. You don't need as many clients, which means you don't burn out as much. And that has tons of other benefits. The burning out stinks. You struggle with everything if you're burning out. You're going to stop enjoying your clients. You're going to stop enjoying the dogs. You're going to start hating dogs and not want to admit it. That kind of thing can tend to happen in your dog training business too, that you just lose your passion and the business will suffer. Your happiness will suffer. You'll just struggle along because you're just not enjoying it anymore. But if you're making more money per client, that makes a lot of things easier. So a lot of these other top 10s will actually fit into that one. That is the number one benefit. The second benefit is you actually work less hours. So you're actually going to make more per client and more overall and work less. And that's really important for those of you who are burning out. The reason for that is since clients will feel like they're spending money on a goal instead of a certain number of hours of time, then they will also try to reach that goal as fast as possible. So that's one of the differences between a package and a program, is that with a program, you are selling a goal, an outcome, benefits, results, what you can usually accomplish in a certain amount of time, rather than the time itself. So when you're doing that, they don't care if they use all the time that is allotted in the program. They value speed. So they try to reach their goal as fast as possible. So if your program technically includes 7 and they reach their goal in 4 lessons, then they're happy to put those other lessons on a shelf and just use them if they ever need them in the future, and just not bother using the whole program or using all the time that was allotted for that program, because you packaged it, you presented it as a benefit and an outcome and a goal that they were buying, not as the package of time. Whereas if you just sold a package of 7 lessons, they would try to use all 7 lessons, whether they really needed them or not, because they paid for all 7 hours and they're going to get what they paid for. If they bought an outcome and a benefit that you can usually get people in 7 lessons and they got it in 4, they're done. You make more money for your time for that client, and they feel like they beat the clock. Win-win. Number 3, your clients actually get better results. So the number one objection that dog trainers have to making more per client is they feel like their fear is really that it's better for the business and it's worse for the client, that you're like not doing people a favor, and you care about people, you care about the dogs, you want to help as many dogs as possible. And if you are making more per client, that's got to be bad for them, right? Like they're spending more. A lot of the people I work with will end up making twice as much for the same amount of time after they redo their programs and change how they present them and change how they price them. So if your fear is that making more per client is actually worse for the client, then I can give you some reassurance that is a complete myth. You're not doing people any favors by charging less. If you are undercharging or you're charging less than you could be getting for your benefits and the outcomes that you give people, you are doing no one any favors by charging less. People don't take it seriously. Their results aren't as good. They don't listen as well, and they may not even finish their programs. They might not get the results that you wanted for them or that even they wanted, because they just they have no skin in the game. They have very little skin in the game. But with great programs, you get the most dedicated people who really want the outcomes that you give people, and they will work for those outcomes and they will happily invest in that outcome. So again, this is a win-win. This is better for your clients. They will actually get better results. So if you're worried about charging more and it being bad for your clients, the opposite is actually true. And it has been proven over and over, time and time again, over years and years and years of me helping other dog trainers with their programs. Number four, it's easier to sell because it's outcome focused rather than just being trying to sell your time and they don't really know what kind of outcome they're going to get from that. Hopefully they get their goals reached. Hopefully the time equals an outcome. They don't actually necessarily completely make that connection. But if you are selling programs the right way, then they will make that connection. And that's what they feel like they're buying. It's much easier to sell. So if you focus more on the benefits and the impacts that you consistently get people in a certain amount of time, rather than focusing on the time itself, it's much easier to sell. Number five, you actually get much better clients who listen to you and respect you as an expert and appreciate you, which makes you enjoy your business more. So that's kind of what the reason is, that you actually enjoy your clients more because they listen better. So we talked about how they tend to get better results. Part of that is because they tend to respect you more. They have more skin in the game. They tend to listen more. They have more of an investment in the outcome rather than just being like completely invested in the outcome because they're just annoyed that much by their dog or whatever it is. They're actually more invested in the outcome because they paid more. So they will listen to you more and they feel more accountability to actually accomplish what your other families that you work with accomplish in that same kind of period of time. And if they are appreciating you more, then it is so much nicer to meet with clients and meet with their dogs if they're praising you and being grateful and thanking you, and they give you twice as much money for half the amount of time and thank you for it. It's so much more rewarding when that happens because you're not going to burn out. You're not going to feel like you're failing everybody who paid for a package of lessons. They didn't use all of it because they, it was just kind of such a small amount of money, like 4 lessons for $500 or something like that. If they don't finish their lessons or they don't get the results, it was just $500. For most people, that's just after the fact. It's just an acceptable loss, really. So you will feel like a failure and you will feel like a fraud and you'll get all these like imposter syndrome issues, thinking maybe you're just not a very good trainer. And the reason is your clients are just not treating you like an expert. They're not valuing what you give them and they're not implementing the things as well. They're not applying what they learn. They're not doing the homework. They're not listening. They're not taking the lesson seriously because they're just paying $100 or $150 a lesson. If they don't get the results from it, then you're left just not feeling good about it, what happened and the results they got. If they listen more to you and treat you like an expert and appreciate you, obviously everything is better. Number 6, it allows your clients to have choices like spending more based on things like more convenience or more long-term support or a higher level of result like off-leash reliability and distraction reliability and things like that. So they can always spend more based on preference rather than just spending the minimum based on their needs. So when you are selling packages of time, everyone will tend to just be like, well, how many lessons do you think I need to stop the jumping and the barking and the pulling and all that stuff? And you'll tell them, I think we can do that in 4 lessons or 8 lessons or, your shortest board and train program. So you are literally preventing them from spending more on things they might prefer, like long-term support or extra convenience factors that you could build into your programs or other benefits like unlimited stuff or a higher level of reliability around distractions and off leash or just things that they might prefer. The main thing to remember here is that clients will always spend more based on preference than they will based on need. If you do your programs the right way, there will be people who have super easy dogs who will happily choose your largest program that includes all of these other great benefits that they don't really need just because they want them. And then you will have these great goofball dogs that would have been fine in 2 or 3 lessons, but the owner actually wanted the bigger program because they wanted the long-term support or they wanted better reliability off leash once they realized that was a possibility that they could actually invest in, rather than just taking care of the bare needs, maybe committing to a couple of lessons and then dropping off after that and disappearing and never doing another lesson. So obviously one is better for them. They get what they want. They're happier. They enjoy the program a lot more. They get much better results and you make tons more money from that client. Like I said, it's a win-win. Number 7, if you have programs, that means that you have a lot of flexibility still. You can customize the programs based on the client's needs. If they do have bigger needs, they have a dog with more severe behaviors or anything like that, while your programs can still be appropriate for easy dogs, that bigger program can also be appropriate for dogs with more severe behaviors. And you can customize the programs if you needed to. You can create a super small one for those families that would love to work with you, but they are just broke and desperate and they just need to fix this one thing or they're going to have to get rid of the dog or something like that. So it provides a lot more flexibility for people rather than just saying you pay this much for this amount of time and hopefully we'll get to an outcome that they want and hopefully they will continue beyond the bare minimum, but probably not. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. And again, people just tend to get much better results. And like I said before, you will tend to get easier dogs in your more expensive programs instead of just the difficult, aggressive, high maintenance behavior type dogs. Number 8, you will get more referrals. And this gets tied in, of course, to having happier clients that get better results. Rather than selling your programs by the hour or by the lesson or by the package, where people tend to quit too early. They do 1 or 2 lessons and they just disappear. They don't continue, or they do a small program, or they do a bigger program or a bigger package, and then they just, don't get the results from it, or you are undercharging and then you start burning out and then you don't enjoy it as much and then they don't get as good of results from all that. All those reasons why they wouldn't be as happy. If they are happier, you will get more clients and more referrals of other great clients who will also listen to you and also pay you what you're really worth. Number 9, you can have high-end clients even if you don't do board and train programs or day training programs. Even if you only do private lessons and group classes, you can still have high-end programs that normal, regular people will love to choose. There's an example of one of those that I actually just had a story recently. Someone who told me that she increased her average income per client to over $2,900, and she doesn't do any board and train. It's just private lessons. And she's not alone there either. I've actually worked with tons of dog trainers who only do private lessons, either at their place or in home or whatever the case might be. They don't do any board and train programs. And their average income per client is still $1,500, $1,800, $2,000, $3,000 per client. And these aren't just like wealthy people who were just choosing these like luxury programs. These are the kind of people that you already get for your current clients who already struggle to see the value of spending on a $500 or $600 package. They already reject your prices, those same people, if your programs are structured differently and presented the right way, and you know how to talk about them so they see the value, will happily spend $1,500, $2,000 or more on a program that includes all the things they want. The reason for that, again, is that they don't want to spend $600 on 4 lessons. They don't want your time. They want the outcome. They want the result. They don't care if it's a lot faster. If you can get 3 times as much done in half the amount of time, that shorter amount of time is now 3 times as valuable. Because what is going on? Because your programs are based on the outcome and based on the benefits instead of based on the time itself, because the time itself is not valuable. It's what you can do in that amount of time. And number 10, you will stand out in your area. So you probably have your packages and your programs or your hours or whatever set up based on kind of what other dog trainers do in the area. You're probably just doing what everybody else does, because this is still pretty common that dog trainers will package their time in packages or by the hour or by the week or whatever, instead of in programs based on outcomes and results and based on different amounts of convenience and peace of mind and long-term support and other features that they would value that you could include in your program. So if you do your programs correctly, you could be charging twice as much for half the time of what other dog trainers charge, and you will still stand out as being better and being much more desirable because they can see the outcomes that they want in the descriptions of your programs. They can see how the time equals an outcome, and they can value that a lot more than just the time itself. So it will make you stand out in your area a lot more when they are, even if they're price shopping, they will start to recognize the difference between your programs and what other people charge for half as much for just packages of time. So if you need more help learning how to put together your programs in the best way and how to price them wisely and how to describe what you offer so people will value it and you get better clients and you stop burning out, you start making more in less time, then head on over to makeitasadogtrainer.com. There are things there for you, including free training and lots of resources, online courses, group workshops, private coaching programs, and you can choose between those depending on how much direct help you would prefer from me. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.